we're diving in. We're getting knee deep in the launch strategy of a course. Now, I'm not playing. This is super high level. This is not some like clickbaity video that I'm doing where I'm like, oh my gosh, 5 ways to do X, Y, Z. We're actually going into my launch strategy for when I do online course launches, through the marketing, the actual launch, the calendar, all of it. And it doesn't matter if you're launching a course or if you're launching something else. You're about to learn a ton, I think, but also you're about to see behind the scenes of the way that my brain works. So it should be fun. This video is sponsored by ClickUp, but honestly, I'm going to be using them throughout the entire video to show you how I plan out my course launch and how we launch things and what it looks like. So just know this video is sponsored by ClickUp, and all the awesome shots of the calendars and the tasks and everything are ClickUp, and you should go try them. I'll put the link below, or go to heyjessica.com/ClickUp because they're awesome. And this whole video is basically going to show you how awesome they are because I truly use them every single time I do a launch, I plan out my marketing strategy, any of it. First things first, and this is something that I struggled with for a very long time. So there's an assessment, like a personality assessment called the Kolbe, Kolbe, and it scores you a certain level on like different characteristics. And one of those characteristics is quick start. Like how much of a quick start are you or not? Like, are you someone who, when you have an idea, it's done, or are you someone who like sits on it? And I scored the highest you could possibly score on the quick start, okay? So just know that that is my personality. I'm like, oh, have an idea, done. I literally built an entire funnel yesterday because I had an idea for it. So just know that like, that's totally my personality. And so this is something I struggled with for a very long time. And it really wasn't until I had a team behind me that it made it really easy for me to be like, okay, I can't keep doing that. But it is a big piece of advice I have for you. And that is that I plan my launches at least 45 days out, but usually more like 90 days out. I don't launch anything like, like that. Like, we can't prepare enough for the marketing of it, for the launch of it, for the things that we need for it in just, a few weeks or even a month. Content that needs to happen that I need to create here on this YouTube channel, on my podcast, like all of the things, they need to coincide with what I'm about to launch so that I am gathering new people and I'm kind of getting people to the point where they're thinking about the thing I'm about to launch. And I can't do that if everything is on a whim. So that being said, first thing I do is I come up with the launch date and then I work backwards. And by the way, this is something that I've taught my team how to do. So when I say I need to launch this thing, here's how I want to launch it, here's the information you need, they should be able to do all of this for me. So it's a very teachable, learnable type of thing. So let me just pull up ClickUp right here. I've got my laptop next to me. I'm gonna pull up ClickUp and I'm gonna show you what our current launch calendar for our current launch of YouTube Rockstars looks like. Like, I'm literally in the middle of it, okay? We launch at the end of the month. So if we know the date we want to like actually launch the thing, then we can plan out that week, but we can also back it up and plan out all of the weeks before it so that we're not up to the week of doing something and getting behind or whatever. So you'll see here, like today's the 28th of February, you'll see here that we had the audio feed for the private podcast, which is how we're launching this course, created. We had automations created, tags in ConvertKit, the sign up page, graphics. This is all Laura. She's like, these are all things I need to do. And then anything that I needed to do, she assigned to me. Anything that Bridget needed to do, she assigned to Bridget. Emails written, like those were mine. So I had to like go through this list and do all of these emails. I needed to record ads for my podcast so that on my podcast, I can have ads that say, hey, we're doing this cool thing. So those were there. Promo emails were scheduled. You can see here that we are taking the amount of time that we had. Like, I told her I wanted to launch at the beginning of February. So she took the rest of February and all of March to get everything done for a March 27th launch date. And then everything is scheduled in here. So what I do is I first come up with the date that I want to launch. And again, I make sure it's far enough out to where we have time to do all the things we need to do. So date I want to launch. Then I'm going to come up with how I want to launch. Like, is it a webinar? This one is a private podcast feed that I'm doing for a month. So obviously I couldn't launch that super fast, right? Do I want to launch with a challenge or a Facebook group or like whatever? Okay, how am I launching? And then I need to figure out like the name of the event, or, you know, like how we're positioning this, the language, all of that stuff. That is first for me. I figure all of that out first. And then we, at this point, just have a list of all the things that need to happen. So at that point, we will just go back and say, okay, all of these things need to happen. Let's put them on a date somewhere. But if you are not at that point yet and you're like launching something, you can totally make a list, like on a piece of paper, make a list. Okay, I need to do graphics to promote it. I need to have an Instagram graphic and a Facebook graphic. I want to do ads to promote this, so I need to figure that out. I need to write 6 emails to promote this thing, and then we will also do emails after the launch. So I have those emails. I need to make a sign-up page. I need to make sure the sales page looks good. I need to make the slides for the webinar I'm going to do, like whatever, okay? So you need to come up with a list of all the things you need to do, and then you can backtrack and add those things to dates depending on how much time you have. If you're a solopreneur, you are going to take longer to launch anything because you don't have a ton of help. If you don't have a team behind you, if you don't have people helping you, it's going to take you longer to launch than it will me because I have a team behind me helping me do all of these things. So when it comes to a launch, my main responsibilities are obviously the ideation and like figuring all of that out, but also emails. And sometimes those aren't always on me. It kind of just depends on the launch. Emails, any kind of like audio thing that needs to be recorded or video thing that needs to be recorded, and pretty much the like slides for the webinar or something. So like that's it. For this one, I didn't have slides for a webinar because I'm not doing a webinar, but I did have all of the content for the secret podcast, which by the way, you can still sign up. I'm talking about this, but if you want to learn how to grow on YouTube, you can totally still sign up for this secret podcast. It is going through the month of March. Obviously, I'm launching YouTube Rockstars on March 27th with it, but you've not missed anything. You can go back and binge the past episodes, and then there'll be more episodes launching, you know, in the next few weeks. If you want to sign up for that, you can go to heyjessica.com/shh. So heyjessica.com/SHH. It's very hard for me to say, but it's a private podcast all about how to grow on YouTube and like all the secrets that you need to know to grow on YouTube right now. But the point here is, this is what I do first. I start with the date. I start with all of the stuff, all of the messaging, the event type, like all of those types of things. And then I work backwards with the tasks that need to be done. So I'm going to walk through my exact list of everything that needs to be done if I were going to be doing a webinar. So if I were going to launch with a webinar, now this one is not, but if I were, this is what I would do because that's my most common type of launching. And plus, it's probably the thing that most people are going to try first is a webinar of some sort. If I'm going to launch with a webinar, I need an event. I need an event with a date. And the event is that moment that I'm like, hey, here, sign up for this thing, and then I'm going to sell you this thing. So for this is a webinar. So I need the webinar, and I need a date for that. Then I need the name of the webinar, the tagline, kind of the promise or the premise behind it. And then from there, it's like normal things. I need a sign-up page for people who want to sign up to the webinar. I need a thank you page for that. I need emails to promote it. I need social media graphics to promote it. I need content on this YouTube channel, on my podcast to promote it. If we are running ads, like paid ads, I need the graphics or the videos or the creative in some way to run those ads. Now, I don't do a lot of ads anymore, or I didn't do a lot of ads anymore. It is something I'm going to like move forward with a little bit more in this year. So like for this current launch, I am doing ads, but I don't always do ads, so you don't have to. Then if there's any kind of changes to the course or things I need to go through, that obviously has to be on the to-do list. So for this one, there are some modules I want to re-record and give updated versions of. And so I'm doing that before the launch. So that goes on the to-do list. And then it is launch to-dos, like actual like launch happenings. And then it is post-launch happenings. So I have all of these to-dos that I just mentioned that happen before launch. And this is the promo period for the event that is actually going to launch or open the doors to the thing I'm promoting. Then I have the actual launch or the event. and that has its own to-do list. There's slides for a webinar. There's running through the webinar. And by the way, before, something I didn't mention is like, obviously before the launch, we make sure all the software is set up for me to host a webinar, that kind of thing. But during the launch, there's also emails that need to go out to tell people like, hey, the doors are open and there's some awesome bonuses and you should sign up. Then there's the sales page for the thing I'm launching. And then post-launch, there's emails before the doors close. There's other emails. There's other things that I'm gonna do to promote this launch again. There's more graphics that I need, more emails, that kind of thing. But I highly recommend working backwards from the event date and getting all of this done months ahead of time, if not a few weeks ahead of time, so that you're not stressed going out to the launch or up to the launch. Now, when it comes to marketing this thing, it depends on what the event is, how far ahead of time I will market it, or if there is marketing happening during the event and that kind of thing. But for like a webinar, I'm usually going to start promoting it and marketing it and telling people about it 2 weeks ahead of time. And that looks like creating content on YouTube that says, hey, I'm doing a webinar, or like whatever. Creating content on my podcast that says, hey, I'm doing a webinar. Creating content on Instagram that says, hey, I'm doing a webinar. And allowing that to promote on socials, but also emailing my list and telling them, hey, I'm doing a webinar. That is what most of my marketing looks like 2 weeks ahead of time. I do that. Now, if I am running ads, that's also thrown in there too. So for this particular launch that I'm in right now, where I'm doing the like secret podcast, I am running ads, but I'm only running ads to my warm audience. So I waited a week of promotion before I turned on those ads, because I do restrict people from seeing those ads that have already signed up. But if I do them at the same time as like all of this organic marketing, there are people who are gonna see the ad and sign up that would have signed up by just seeing an Instagram post that I didn't have to pay for. So I generally will do my organic marketing first and then throw in paid ads afterwards if I'm just marketing to a warm audience. And honestly, that's basically it. What I would recommend, even though ClickUp is amazing, and I use ClickUp and like highly recommend ClickUp for that calendar planning view and all of the things that ClickUp does. We can keep up with like who's assigned to a task, where a task is in the journey that needs to happen, all of that. But sometimes when I'm planning, and also something that I recommend to other people, is to get one of those like really big desk calendars from like Walmart, or if you have a Target because you're bougie, you can get one there. But like one of those really big like desk calendars, you know, and go ahead and use that to plan everything backwards. I feel like sometimes my brain works better when I can look at it and like write down like launch whatever, and then I can like work backwards that way. So I would highly recommend doing that if you feel like that's something that would be useful. And then I take that and I transfer it to ClickUp. So it's all still in ClickUp, because if it was just on that calendar, I'd never do it. But at least then in my brain, I'm working backwards on paper, and I can erase and like move and like whatever. And there's just something about planning on paper that way that is really awesome. So if you want to try out ClickUp, don't forget to go to heyjessica.com/ClickUp. You can try it for free, or you can get 20% off some of their paid plans with my link. And also, if you want to plan your own course launch and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew all the things that Jessica just talked about, and you're a little confused, or you just want a template to start from, I actually have a course creation and launch ClickUp template in my shop. So I will link it below, but if you just go to heyjessica.com and then go to shop, you can click on templates and ClickUp templates, and you can find it there. So I have all of that in that template, and even like a launch checklist. So hopefully you can get yourself right with your course launches. And before I end this video, I guess I should say that you're gonna learn something new with every launch. You're going to, I don't know where that piece of light is coming from. You're going to learn something new with every course launch. You're going to decide you want to do something different with every course launch. You're going to want to try new things with every course launch, and you're going to forget things with every course launch that you want to remember next time. So what I do might be different from what you do, and what you do now might be different from what you do next launch. But the whole work backwards strategy is what I really wanted you to see, because it is freaking magical if you're launching anything. You should never just like go out into the world and be like, this thing is launched. There should be a prep time. There should be things that go into it. There should be priming your audience. There should be obviously things you have to do on the back end. And this is going to help you keep it all organized and buttoned up. So the links to ClickUp, the secret podcast I'm doing, and the ClickUp course creation and launch template are below in the description. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.